Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for coming back to hang out with us. I'm here with Barbara and I'm here with Becky, and we are just enjoying another conversation about our creator of all universes. Please stay with us. And as we dive into something, we're not sure exactly what it's going to be at this moment, but stay tuned. You're going to enjoy it.
So one of the things I've been thinking about, well, right now, because it's the changing of the seasons. So fall is on its way, and which is one of my favorites. I mean, I love them all differently, and in different parts of my life, I have had a favorite season over the other. But it's not cold in Oklahoma, so it doesn't feel like fall is here. The seasons in our weather that change, but also the seasons in our life, and not just big sweeping seasons of our life, but even like the rhythms of our day and the rhythms of our month and the rhythms of our years and the rhythms of our life. So I think like especially it was especially meaningful to me when I was going through an online school um in a creative field, and our teacher started talking to us. We were predominantly a group of women, but she was talking about the flow of creativity, and
Hmm.
she was talking about how it comes in bursts, and sometimes we think we're never going to get another creative idea again, so we hold on to it really tight, but that she has found in her journey as an artist that it ebbs and flows, and not to be concerned or afraid when the well of creativity is drying up, and looking at it as like a season of wintering and a season of hibernation, and that it always eventually comes back. And she started drawing our attention to rhythm and what I
Hmm.
would call season, or what some may call cycles, and I started really noticing that I have them even in my days. So, like, for example, I like to wake up early. I'm not a night owl, but some people are. And I have my best creative thoughts and my best deep thoughts early in the morning. And by the time the sun is setting, I'm very I'm on my way out of being a productive human being. And once I started recognizing that I had these cycles daily, I gave myself permission to work within those cycles, if that makes sense.
Uh-huh.
But I started noticing them even in the month and even in the year and then over the whole course of my life. Anyway, so I had this idea of seasons, and I wondered if that sounded interesting, if you guys wanted to talk about it. Because I know I can dive into it deeply. And there's a lot of young women in my life that I'm starting to mentor, and they really like this idea because they're looking for becoming creative and productive and like starting their life out, and they're asking what does that look like. And so I'm teaching what I've learned really later on in life is like working within your own rhythm and understanding your own season. And it's, I don't know, the more I talk to people, the more I realize not everybody thinks about it. So I didn't know if we wanted to talk about it. That sounds interesting.
Well, I'd say that was a great open.
Well, good. So today on Wild Honey from the Rock, we're talking about seasons. Yeah.
Very nice. So when you said that to me, when she sent the text about, I got an, all these things are happening, but I got this idea about
Yeah.
seasons. That's so us. All these things are going on, so here's what I've been thinking about seasons recently. Eating seasonally.
Wow.
Mhm.
Okay. Because like it, this is just a thought, random thought. Okay. So should we be eating watermelon all year round? Or is there something in watermelon that we need only when it's in season?
Yeah.
But we don't do that in our country, right?
Right.
Because if you have a craving for watermelon right now, right?
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
Go get a
You'll
water.
go to the grocery store, the farmers, but you will find a source of watermelon that's being grown in the southern hemisphere, that's being brought up here or being grown in a greenhouse. So he's a God of purpose and design, and all these things should we be eating what he provides for us at that time? Because that's what our bodies require. And maybe we are not doing that. And that's where our body gets out of line and we have issues and problems. Too much sugar, not enough sugar, too much salt, not enough salt.
Yeah. I think that totally this works for like practical and spiritual, right? Because
Mhm.
practically you're right and you can probably go down a Google rabbit hole of eating seasonally and why that matters, not just for your own health, but also it probably matters to the stewardship of the earth and the land. And like, I like your story of you taught me about how you let your chickens rest, that they don't lay eggs all the time. And you can force it with artificial light, but it's not their natural way. And so, like, it's interesting that with the advancement of technology and humanity, we create what we think are conveniences when, or things that satisfy our felt need or desire when actually it's maybe an abuse of power or
Right.
maybe not even helpful. Maybe it's even harmful to us. And I think about,
In excess.
yeah,
In excess.
yeah,
Kind of like how I was telling you about the grass-fed beef, they're out on the grass eating, 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 eating all the time, and then once the farmer knows that it's enough, then they pull them off of that grass, and then they either take them to be processed or they finish them with giving them a little bit of grain, like maybe they didn't get enough and they need to be fattened up a little bit. In all nature, there are there's a
rhythms.
rhythm.
Yeah.
There's a rhythm with it. And, like my goats, they will know how much they need to eat throughout the day. So they come out and then they go grazing, but they're not if your livestock is grazing the whole entire time that they're outside, what is it telling you? It tells you that they aren't eating enough. They're not getting enough. So they're missing something. So they're searching for it. They're searching for it. What am I missing? What am I missing? What am I missing? My goats go out, they eat, nibble, 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 and then they rest. Like right now, whatever time it is, they are out resting, waiting. They're not frantically trying to find what they need. And I don't know why I went down that rabbit trail, but
Well, it's kind of like
Well,
time there's a time for everything. And you can't just they can't just eat all the time. They can't just rest all the time. And like even in our own life, not even practically, but just spiritually, we're not going to always live on the mountaintop in this high ecstatic place of ease. There are times we go into valleys and I think for me, the more I begin to look for seasons, the more I begin to look for rhythms, the more I find them. Whether it's in nature, like you're finding in your farm, and in practical things of should I even be eating in seasons? Yes, we probably should be. But I even find it in my own creativity and I find it in my own way that I approach life. I think the more you look, the more you find, kind of like we talked the other day about since we named ourselves Wild Honey, we're seeing honey everywhere, we're seeing bees everywhere. When you look for something, it starts showing up in your life. And so I like looking for seasons because it gives me what it's doing is it's giving me permission for acceptance
hmm, hmm,
and gratitude,
yeah,
which I don't know are are taught very much.
yeah.
So by acceptance, I mean
Like accepting his rhythm and getting in tune with his rhythm.
like whatever it is, like let's talk about winter as a
Mhm.
season of a time where things are still and a lot of trees have literally pulled within, all of their leaves are gone. Some animals are even under the ground, they're hibernating. Things are sleepy, things are still. They're very much alive, but it's not showing you the activity the way spring will show you activity. And so in our lives when we're in a season, whether it's of the day where we're just not able to put our thoughts together clearly, we're not able to get a task done, or it's a season where there's not a lot of activity, we feel stuck or we feel stagnant or we feel like we're not moving forward at the rhythm of our neighbor and our friend. We have winters in life, and when you recognize that that's all that it is, then I'm not actually like brain dead, that the brain fog isn't my future. It's not everything. It might just be today. When you
Mm,
recognize that things come at you, stagnancy comes at you, and it comes at all of us. Because
right.
winter always comes. There's nothing we can do in our planet that's going to stop it. Like, I don't want to go down a seasonal change, but like the rhythms come. The leaves turn, the trees drop their leaves, they go within, and then in springtime they bud out. And so acceptance of knowing that I'm not stuck. I
Yeah.
haven't reached the end. I'm not in a hole that it's like there's no way out of. My spring will come.
Spring will come. It'll pass.
Yeah. So I think that like find acceptance from looking for the seasons, because I see that there's a beginning and there's an end to it. And there's something new that will be coming. And again, like it brings gratitude too, because like if I'm only eating watermelon, when does it even summertime? Is it a summer thing?
I think so, right, Barb? Summertime? Yeah.
Like how excited am I for it? How sweet? How much sweeter? How much sweeter
Yes,
does it
that's
taste?
right. Yeah.
Right?
So Genesis 8:22, God gives the cycle, the seasons, and seed time and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night. So he established it at the beginning, Genesis, the beginning.
Yeah.
So it's always been here. And what is that saying to us about cycles, day and night, seed
Well,
harvest?
I must jump in here. So also on the heels of that, Amanda, Acts 17:26 says, "From one man he made every nation of men, that they should inhabit the whole earth, but he determined the time set for them and the exact places where they should live." And so I grew up when I was a little girl, my grandparents had a farm, and we ate what came out of their garden, and they had chickens, and those were special meals. And during the winter time, my grandmother would have canned, and we would take from the canned goods, or beans, dried beans a lot. And so those were rhythms and seasons that the world used to live on, and some places of the world still do that, and some people in America do that as well, but they're not the norm anymore. And, yeah, I think that there's multiple reasons why we should recognize, the seasons for food,
Mhm.
and but we're very, very spoiled people, and we're used to running down to the store and getting and the problem is you buy a thing of, watermelon from the grocery store in the winter, it's not gonna be sweet, like you were saying, it's not gonna be the same. That's one of my favorite foods,
Yeah.
but yeah, so
Yeah,
so
that's
it
good. That's really good. So, Barb, um, can you remember a handful of the things that would come from the garden that you guys just, you look so forward to it? Like,
Well, the tomatoes were you cannot find a tomato in the grocery store today. And even maybe in the, organic stores, you might have a little better chance, but it's still been shipped from someplace. But oh my gosh, I mean, we'd pick them off the vine, have the salt in our hand, and put a little salt on that tomato and bite into it like it was an apple. It was sweet and juicy and amazing. Green beans, my grandmother's green beans were great. The corn was unbelievable. That was before it was genetically modified. I don't think my grandparents grew much fruit, but the farmer's market down the street had everything from the local farms, the watermelon.
mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's great. The peaches, oh my gosh, nectarines, all that stuff.
Is I was wondering about eating seasonally and how important because He's a God of order and design, so why wouldn't he want us to eat that way? And then what is happening to us by being able to eat based on any craving that we have, you know?
Yeah, what is happening is diabetes is skyrocketing and people are taking Ozempic,
Mm.
not just for blood sugar, but to lose weight. The symptoms and side effects are horrible. Anyway, that's a whole nother show.
I do love to watch the different seasons with the animals because they're so in tune with them and they know what they're doing. They're eating the food because they know that it's not as gonna be as plentiful in their mind. Of course, I supplement them through the winter, but in their nature, they're eating to go wintering, like Beck was saying. They winter, even though the goats don't dig a hole and go underneath. They do slow down, and then they get real fluffy fur, and they look like little fluffy, like your little fuzzy behind you. They get all fuzzy like that.
Well, also, Amanda, the trash, we didn't make as much garbage because our pigs and sometimes the chickens would eat the eggshells and just the goats, all of that stuff, the corn cobs, everything that was left over mostly was given back to the animals, and they loved it.
Yeah. Yeah, the compost. Yeah, exactly. And I do that too. Any scraps or anything I give to the chickens and I give to the goats
Goats.
are kind of picky. People think that about goats that, there's like these sayings that, goats will eat anything, but they really won't. They only like specific things. Now they'll eat anything if they don't have something to eat.
I'm always looking for the spiritual thing to pull out. And when you talk about you love watching your animals transition in the seasons and they know they know what time it is. And even just for mom and I, we're not on a farm, but we have pets that are dogs and they get a bone, a certain chewy bone for their teeth at the same time. And if we forget, they'll come tell us. The animals seem to know what time it is. And I think like one of the things that I want to push into is the awareness of the season and being aware. And there's so many levels of the
Mhm.
awareness for us to really step into awareness
Mhm.
of what is God doing in this season in the earth and how can I join him? Or being aware of the season of my life that I'm in and am I in a season that I should be producing fruit or am I in a season of rest? Just being aware, like your animals know it's time to eat or it's time for my chewy bone. Being aware, like Ecclesiastes talks about all kinds of seasons. There's a season to plant and there's a season to uproot. And are we always in a planting mode? Like you were talking about, we're always consuming watermelon. If we're always consuming watermelon, we're going to be getting too much sugar and we're never going to appreciate the watermelon. And knowing what season it is and why so that we can accept it, be grateful for it in and out of it, but then also be as productive as we're meant to be. Because if we know it's a season of refraining, right? One of the pairs is there's a season to embrace, there's a season to refrain from embracing. How many of
Yeah.
us just try to embrace and embrace and embrace and embrace and embrace? And God's going, hey, I'm ready for you to step back from that relationship. It's a season to refrain from embracing and knowing that that's okay. And there's times sometimes where God calls us out of a relationship. So it's time to get out of the field and stop eating, right? It's time to put the watermelon away. Summer's over. And I just think as we pay attention to the seasons, whether we are using the animals to help us see them, or we're reading the word or listening to the Holy Spirit, just watching our own lives, the more we're able to work in the rhythm. Nature doesn't fight. Nature doesn't fight the seasons. It doesn't wrestle. The animals don't wrestle with it. So humans do. We wrestle, we manipulate, we change, we usurp stuff. So I think that knowing what time it is important. I think it's helpful. I think it's useful.
Right. And the harvest is plentiful. So we go and everything is a picture, right? Within a picture. So when the harvest is ready, what do? We don't let it just sit there and rot on the vine. Everybody has to go into the field and pluck all of that. If we want it for winter, right? If we if we're going to eat that either for our animals or for us, we have to go out into the field and take the fruit off of the vine. It's a picture for us to share the gospel and to not let those people die off.
Wow, that's a whole different direction. But yeah,
Huh?
yeah, yeah. I was thinking seed time and harvest. I was just thinking about patience. I was just thinking about, sometimes we pray and we pray for something and we are ready to see the answer, like when we wake up the next morning. Chances are, like, God has planted a seed. And so it might take time. His delay is not him not answering or him ignoring. The delay may be the fact that the seed is taking root, and and it's going to take time to grow, and then it's going to take time to produce fruit, to see a result. So yeah, when you said seed time and harvest, I just started thinking about how that cultivates patience in us. That the
Uh-huh.
season of, like, understanding the rhythms of a seed.
Right. And Barb, you're a gardener and cultivate. So when you plant a seed, you don't just walk away from it.
Tend to it. You have to know the right soil, the right fertilizer. You have to know the right organic spray that will keep the bugs off of it and all of that. Yeah, it's really hard work. Um,
Wow.
my grandmother had a tea towel in her house that she hung there. It said, "A man may work from dusk till dawn, but a woman's work is never done." As you go out, you plant the garden, you tend the garden, you take care of the chickens, you take care of the other animals, then you prepare dinner for your family. My grandmother had, there were 11 to feed. And yeah, and so it was a lot of work, and everything for the most part came from the garden. So yeah, it was challenging.
And it's tremendous work to be the sower. And then sometimes I will plant things and they will begin to grow and they will be really, really, they'll look like they're something really awesome. And it's like, oh my gosh, and I'm so excited about it. And then we get 3 days of no rain, or we get 3 days of too much rain, or the goats come in and eat it.
Yes.
Something happens
Yes.
and then it's gone. It's gone. It's just gone. It's just like that. So it's like I have great, expectation that it's going to be a, wonderful harvest. And then in just a second, it's
Mhm.
gone.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
wonder how many people that we're sharing something with, a seed is planted, begins to blossom, begins to develop, and then something happens, snatches.
Like, Timothy was a young apprentice or disciple of the apostle Paul. Paul is teaching Timothy to follow the Lord. Timothy has shown so much promise. There has been words spoken over his life, and sometimes this will happen to you, or people will say something to you about, you're going to be an author one day, right? And you might bear witness in your spirit feeling like, yeah, I know that. I've always wanted that, right? And you just sit around kind of and wait for a publisher to call you one day or show up on your door. And when that doesn't happen, it's 20, 30 years later, and you think, like, God wanted me to be an author, but it just never happened. And Paul says to Timothy something really interesting. He says, according to the promises, according to the words, according to the prophecies spoken over your life, strategio is the Greek word. In my Bible, it says, fight the good fight. And according to what's been spoken over your life, strategio means build a military strategy to watch over it. build a military strategy. So I like this idea you're talking about nurturing a seed, or mom or Amanda, when like it didn't rain and it just dried up. A military strategy doesn't give up, and it's focused. If somebody says you're supposed to be an author, maybe pick up your pen and like, have you been writing? What is your practice to journal? Because like, where are you setting aside time? Where are you carving out to make it? Like somebody talked about like, oh, I see you traveling the world, and the thing was like, I've always wanted to do that. Well, do you have a passport? Do you have a suitcase that can get beat up, or travel lightly? Like, because you got to have something like that. And we miss the little steps in life to see ourselves through, to nurture those seeds that God is planting in us, to watch over them, to fight the good fight over them, to prevail through the seasons of drought, like you're saying, or to remember that they need to be watered. We need to be in the presence of the Lord so that he can water and we don't get depressed. Like, there are practical things to nurture the seeds in us through seasons, and through just, again, back to the awareness of knowing what time it is.
Yeah, that's good. That's really good. And his time is perfect and our time isn't, and he doesn't live in time. I think a lot of times if there is a word spoken over you, or you feel something and it doesn't, like you said, doesn't happen immediately the next day, there's probably a frustration level there. And then you think, oh, well, maybe I misheard that, or maybe, but you have no idea the time. But just you're saying that step out, make movements toward that, right? Like Barb, when you went into that prayer meeting and they didn't know who you were, but they said, I see media over you,
Mm,
I see podcasting.
mhm.
And then look at how swiftly he you heard that word, he spoke the word, they said it out loud, and then here we are. We're seeing that word come alive because we stepped out. We made some sort of action toward it.
Yeah. Participating in the season.
Mhm.
And sometimes it's action and sometimes it's stillness.
Sometimes you get a word and it really does makes no sense, and you wait, and you wait, and you start to feel, and then you hear it again. That happened to me, and it was a 5-year wait, and I kept at one point, I just said, "Lord, I'm tired in the waiting, and we're not to get weary in the waiting." But I said, "I am." And it was right in that moment, he told me what it was I was waiting for. It's very personal, so I'm not gonna share it, but it was incredibly powerful, and I've seen the fruit of it, because once he said, "Now," I had more courage because I was convinced it was his voice, and then he just started opening the doors to the things that he wanted me to accomplish, and it's still happening, 'cause he told me there's going to be some amazing things, and I kept at first it was like, "But I'm old," and that didn't even enter the conversation as far as he was concerned, so I stopped saying that. But, yes, so it's what I know and knew was God is faithful. He is faithful, and even though I got weary, I believed in my heart that he was gonna do something very specific, and he did. So, if any of you out there are waiting for something and you feel God's already given you a word, hold on to it. Press in, wait in his presence, and let him bring it about, and he will.
Yeah. He's not a liar.
No, God
He's
is not
not,
a man.
he does right. He doesn't tease or trick us.
Mm-mm.
And the verse, when your children are hungry, do you give them a stone? Right?
Right.
No.
Mhm.
You do everything in your power to find something for them to eat.
Mhm.
You do all the things.
Yes.
That's so good.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the thing that the young women really were interested in hearing about with seasons is it's kind of like even just workflow, just practical workflow. Things like giving yourself permission. I think maybe I can't speak for a man, but as a woman, giving yourself permission to not be productive 100% of your day. Like giving yourself permission to be tired, giving yourself permission to rest. I think just like
But resting is being productive also,
right.
because greatness comes out of rest and healing comes out of
But
rest.
I don't think we're taught that, especially as women. And there's so many responsibilities put upon us that we don't know that it's allowed and that it's okay.
Well, on top of Becky, what you're saying is I feel that younger women today are under such pressure and they're comparing themselves constantly to other women that they think are maybe more productive than they are, or, they're jealous maybe of this person's achievements and they're striving to live up to some unrealistic expectation that God never put on them. I mean, I see that out here where I am in Southern California. Um, I don't know if I was 30 and had 2 kids and I see some, woman that's beautiful and she's talking about the Lord on a podcast, I would think, "Oh gosh, I'd like to do a podcast too," but what would my motive be? Would it be because I feel called of the Lord, or would it be because I feel like I need to measure up?
Comparison.
Comparison. That's really big.
Yeah.
Uh, You know, Women who plan weddings that are so extravagant. There's nothing wrong with that, I guess, if you have the money, but when people go into debt to have a wedding that looks gorgeous online and they don't have enough money to rent an apartment, that's not wisdom, but
Yeah.
it's rampant in the world today, even with our young people, our children. So that's something I wish parents could understand themselves and then also teach their children the value that's inherent within them as individuals. Understanding that we are uniquely made by God. We're not a stamp to look like everybody else. Kids today are struggling so much with identity. Mom and dad need to be the one to really speak into their lives, their value, especially as Christian parents. I mean, where else are they going to get it?
Yeah. It's very difficult to not compare yourself if you have electronics, because if you're taking selfies, you're hanging out with your friends, you're doing things and you're taking pictures, you're documenting, every second of every bit of your day. And then you're looking at those to do something with, to post it or to send it. And then you're posting it. And then for what are you getting feedback back? You know, you're so gorge, you look so great, oh my gosh, you live such a fun life, whatever you're wanting from that. And that is what is defining you. It's such a dangerous place for them. But all of us in this group right here, we understand because we were just kind of on the edge of electronics kind of taking over our lives. So we know how to step away from it. And we know how it's serious, and especially being in the media. We understand that it's all it's not. So, but I can't my heart is so broken over these young ladies that are comparing themselves with what they're seeing, and it just breaks my heart to think that they don't feel like they're enough, or they're skinny enough, pretty enough, their hair, they don't make enough money, whatever, it's not enough. And I think that was one reason also why I wanted to do this, is I want people to know that they're enough, and that um he loves them like they are, who you are. He made you. You are
Yeah.
unique. You're an individual and you're awesome. And he didn't want a bunch of different robots that look exactly the same that Elon Musk is making. He doesn't want that. He wants individuals, dark hair, light eyes, dark eyes, short, chunky, all the different versions. He wants all of because he loves variety. Look in nature and look at all of my chickens. All of them are
Yes.
unique.
Yes.
So
Yes.
They're not all the same. And then the more you realize that the uniqueness, then you see all the incredible things. You
Mhm.
see the details of how amazing differences are. Yeah, if I could impart anything, I would want that.
well, I just had a mentor that like talked about nature and like we might all have our favorite, like some people, I have friends that really love the beach. They love the beach so much that they don't like Christmas because they don't like the snow. They just want beach all the time. But I have mountain friends. I'm a forest lover. Or when you get into the flowers, I have like a friend who loves the sunflowers, but then like I have people that think sunflowers look scary and they love tulips because you can't see inside them like the rose. You can't see like the sunflower, you got the seeds looking at you, but some people love that. And like when you start looking at nature, it doesn't compare itself. And you don't really say that, like, even though I'm not an ocean person, I'm a forest person, I still recognize that the ocean is beautiful. I still love to visit the ocean. I love the trees. But the ocean is still beautiful. And like, even though the rose is not my favorite, the rose was my grandma's favorite, but it is still a beautiful flower. The rose doesn't look at the sunflower and say, gosh, I wish that I was wider and I wish that I grew taller. The rose just blooms. It just is. And I think, as women and as individuals and as humans, like to recognize the diversity in nature is such a good mirror just to hold up and say, I am who I am. And I have my own height and I have my own fragrance and I have my own look and I have my own color. And all of that makes me me. And there's no other me but me. And in that, there's beauty. And in that, it's ridiculous to compare for the mountain to say, I wish I were the ocean. I mean, could you imagine a world without mountains? Or for the willow tree to say, I wish I were a fir. But the movement of a willow is so graceful and elegant and beautiful, but the stalwartness of the fir and its roots are growing deeper than the tips of the top of it. And it stays green all year long and with vibrancy, reminding us of life. Like each tree has such character and beauty, each flower, each mountain range, each crashing wave, and it's even more with people. And just to step into that uniqueness of the me, of the you, and recognize that it is and has its own beauty and perfectness in being. And the world is better for it.
Yeah. And we all could work together like nature. Nature all works together. The ebb and the flow, the movement of the trees, the bees and the butterflies and the birds chirping to wake up the trees in the morning. All of that is working in unison together. How much more does he want us to work in unison? With all of the gifts and all of the greatness that he has put inside of each and every one of us, he wants us to come together and work in unity as one. So when you need water, I can tilt my branches down and the water will drip off my branch so you can grab it and have a drink. That's how we should be working. And that's when I see nature and I see the animals, they're all working together. A deer of the horse eats the parasites that make the goat sick. So she eats them all up. So when they come to that field, they don't get those parasites. The chickens scratch the dirt. So the seeds, when they can fall, they fall into that scratched dirt. And then they cover it up so the seed can take root for when the water comes. All works together.
Beautiful.
It's so beautiful. There's some some video out there on YouTube about, I don't know, it was bringing the wolves back to Yellowstone or something like that.
Oh,
Or maybe it was the beavers. I don't know, but like some animal had been taken out of the
the
life
wolves.
cycle and they brought it back. And it was like
Mhm.
little by little, nature started restoring itself. And the I don't even remember. It's worth watching. Maybe we can find it and put a little link. It's like it's really moving because it's like the birds came back, and when the birds came back, this thing came back, and when that thing came back, this thing came back, and then it's you just watch one species after another be blessed by the other one, and it made room for the next species, and it made space for the next until you have this thriving ecosystem. And my gosh, what is happening in the world and what could it look like if we stopped comparing and we stopped like trying to be like each other and we stepped into the fullness of who we are and how that would make room for the next person to step into the fullness of who they are and what might we be missing, just like Yellowstone, because one species was taken out and the whole thing collapsed. Imagine what the world is missing because you're not stepping into your fullness.
Ooh, yes, it is.
You, or you wouldn't have been bored. God wouldn't have thought of you. God wouldn't have thought of you before he laid the foundations of the world. The world needs you to thrive and to be bountiful and to have the fullness of what the earth is supposed to be.
Yes. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Is so true. Why did he put us on this planet? Because he needs us all to be working together because something that you have, I don't, and you need to bring it. Because if not, the whole ecosystem is going to be messed up. That's incredible.
So it's funny because like I still haven't gotten my thought out about seasons. But that was really beautiful. And I'm so glad that we went there. I'm so glad we went there because that was really good. And I want to find that video. But I think what I was initially thinking about seasons was like entering into this conversation with you guys, just even about your daily energy flow. Because I think for young women it's helpful as they're learning to step, not compare, and to be healthy and to love themselves and to step into who they are, like just hear from others like how different it can look. And how I think especially as women we even have we have cycles, like not just through the day but we have cycles through the month. And even as we age and that changes, there's still like biologically times that we're more productive.
What do you mean?
Well, like for a woman
Right?
before menopause, she's
Right?
cycling through not just one episode a month. She's cycling through something actually the whole month. There's phases. There's phases that literally the chemistry in her brain is changing. And like you talked about eating for the seasons. There are young women out there teaching you to eat for the phases of your month as a woman, and that you actually need certain minerals and nutrients in certain parts of the month to support, like especially a time where you're shedding, right? You need iron, you need certain things. You don't need heavy meats, you need light vegetables. Like there's literally different things to feed your body. But even just to feed your mind and your spirit, knowing that I am in a productive phase or I'm in a restful phase. And I guess I was trying to like do like a roundabout, a circle of like, I don't know, like what your day, it may not be important and maybe we've just passed over it. I don't know.
Like how our day is?
Yeah, sometimes it's like the practical things that are really helpful.
Like me just kind of saying I wake up at a certain time, I spend time with the Lord, I make my tea, I do like that. Is that what you're
are there times of the day that you have more energy? Or are you just energetic all day and then you rest?
what do you think?
You
I think you're energetic all day and
has
then you
energy
rest.
all day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I jump up at an 11. Like I am
Okay.
and yes.
So that's
So,
how
yeah,
so that life isn't like that for me.
right.
So in fact, I actually I like to wake up early, but my first action is inward.
Me too.
So my first
What
action
do you
is
mean?
very contemplative in the morning, and I'm going in and I'm planning my day, or I'm thinking about my day. I'm inward.
While you're laying in your bed and your eyes wake up, you're thinking about your day, or you're getting up in motion, starting your day, and you're thinking.
My first block of time in my life, like with my cup of tea or my cup of coffee, is quiet and it's introspective. And if I miss that introspective time, you might as well like toss the whole day out. I may not be able to be productive, right?
Yeah, if Becky's staying with me and she comes in with her tea and she sits on the other end of the couch and I just wanna talk so bad, but I know that if I do, I'm gonna mess up her routine, so I wait. No, but I'm like that too. I don't want anyone talking to me, it's just special when Becky's here because she has her own family and home. But, I my brain is so tuned into the Lord in the morning in the early hours. That's when I get my downloads. That's when he just pours inspiration into me, and I can journal, or it depending on the book I'm reading, he'll speak to me through the words. And man, as the day goes on, and I'm gung ho then after that for several hours, but then I do get tired in the afternoon. I could probably take a 30-minute nap every day at this point in my life, and then get up and have a second wind.
Yeah, see, so this is the kind of stuff I'm talking about. So like then like after pulling inward, I can't stay there. If I stayed inward all day, I would become very depressed. So
Mhm.
I
Yes.
in turn need to push out. But I can't stay out like you're saying you're on at 11 and you stay at an 11. Will not be able to be out all day. Like mom, somewhere around the afternoon, I pull back again and I go into another inward cycle in my day. And then I have one more push. This is just me personally. And then as the sun's setting, that's the end for me. But like as I'm listening to you guys, like what the practical thing I was trying to get at it is like when mom said her morning time is when the Lord downloads. Like that's an important thing to notice because then I would say guard that time. Like if somebody wants to give you an appointment at that time or a meeting that time, or can you have coffee with me at this time? Like I would love to later, right? So it's like again, just drawing awareness to how you move through life so that you can then protect the times where you know it's really easy for you to hear from the Lord. If or like when for me, when the sun is going down, I'm losing all of my energy that I had. I'm never at an 11, first of all.
And do we need to clarify what that technical 11 means? Because I don't know if people know, but on a knob, it's a music reference. In the studio, when you're creating music, there's a volume, which is a knob that turns it up and down, and the max that it goes is to a 10. And so when I say that I'm an 11, I'm beyond the max. I'm over, the meter is like all the way in the red.
You're off the charts.
I'm off the charts with my energy. But you guys know, of course, as you grow and learn your personality, and you can calm that down some. And the animals make you totally calm it down because you can't be high strung around them. They react to it and they think a predator is coming, or something, right?
Like even in like I'm I was thinking about ways that like accepting your rhythms can help you guard your time with the Lord or be more merciful to yourself or be more productive in your own nature. It's also like giving from other people because your 11 helps take like it you can take my 6 and pull me up to an 8, like I may never be at an 11, but being together with you, I'm gonna be more of who I am. And so like just even knowing that, having the awareness of like being around people that are in different seasons can help you or whatever, you know Yeah. Yeah, no, I just thought it was interesting just to hear practically like how you move through the day and what it's taught you because that's just something I've been in conversation with in the women around my life right now. And we've been asking each other questions about that and in learning to love and accept ourselves, right? And not
Yeah.
compare ourselves.
Mhm.
And
Right.
listening to your own rhythm and your own way of moving through the world and giving yourself permission that I don't have to wake up at an 11 and it doesn't mean I'm less than a woman, right? And the sooner that I stop fighting to be what I think I'm supposed to be, the
Mhm.
more the quicker I step into accepting that I just need a little bit of time in the morning. The faster then I'm able to then give back out because sometimes I don't need hours and hours. Like sometimes I can just go inward, fill up fast and be ready to go out. But if I never gave that to myself because I thought I was supposed to wake up at an 11, you see what I'm getting at?
Yeah. And Barbara, you're probably way more in tune to this because you've always cherished your schedule. And think for me it's a lot different because I've been all over different places doing different things, working at night, working in the day, so my rhythm through the years has had to change. So the rhythm that I'm in right now is not the same rhythm, guys, right, that I've ever been in. This rhythm is completely different.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think that, I mean, living 7 decades, I've learned a lot about myself, and, I mean, I haven't always had the blessing or whatever of being able to be on this routine because I worked, did a TV show and all those things, and, actually, it would take a toll. It would take a toll. At this point, and there's this hilarious woman on Instagram who has formed the "I Do Not Care Anymore" club, and it's for women in premenopause, menopause, and postmenopause, and she is hilarious. You got to go find her. She is hilarious, and Cindy, I can see that Cindy knows who I'm talking about. This woman is so cute, and it's basically, I just don't care anymore. I'm not gonna compare myself to anybody, and, I've been going out without makeup on a lot here. Woo! It's great. It's great. I don't have to impress anybody.
Right.
Anyway, it's so and I give myself permission to be gosh, when Becky and I first wanted we're gonna do Everyday Woman, I think we were walking around the network asking people what they thought about the word title "Just Be," because you're a Becky, I'm a Barbara, and it was gonna be a play on words, just the letter B. Remember we asked Heather about that, Becky, and I remember that was the first time I met her.
What did she say? You remember what she said?
She laughed and made some comment. She's bigger than life. I can't remember exactly, but I think she said, "Oh, yeah, that would fit y'all just really good," or something.
It's funny
We
because
thought it would be a good magazine.
Yeah.
Just be.
it's a phrase, it's interesting. My oldest son, he's in his 20s, mid 20s, and he uses that like if he's going into a situation where he knows he might start overthinking or be nervous about something, his self-talk is just be. And he's just
Mm.
settles into like who he knows he is, right? In Christ. He just settles that's how he settles himself back into the moment. And I just think it's just really good reminder and maybe it does go back to comparison and stuff. Just give yourself permission to be at the 11, Amanda, or mom and I, inward and outward. And like we beat ourselves up. The world is hard enough. There's enough challenges and difficulties without us becoming an enemy to ourselves.
Yes, so true.
Like this is maybe stupid and silly, but like I don't know where I got that working out had to be like before you went to work. So it was like something that you do at 5 o'clock in the morning, or you know what I mean? Like you get up early when it's dark outside, you work out and then shower and then you have your day. Well, that might work for a lot of people. And practically, like you were saying, Mom, when you had a job, there's not a lot of flexibility. So you think, well, if I'm going to fit it in, I have to fit it in there. But it's like, I actually learned that like I'm not awake enough in the morning to safely work out.
I hear ya. I hear ya.
You'd hurt yourself?
I would hurt myself, and like I would walk into a wall. I'm clumsy. Like I would drop the weights on my feet. Like it's not going to happen. And then you think, well, if it doesn't get to happen, then I just don't get to do it. And in the reality, like I hit a really tired time in the afternoon where I usually make either a second cup of coffee or I make my first cup of tea. And I don't know if it was my husband or my youngest son said, "Why don't you try working out now?"
Mm.
And I thought, well, I can't. It's the afternoon. Like I'm gonna sweat. Do I wear do different sets of clothes every day? I can't work out in the afternoon. It's preposterous. I wash my hair in the middle of the day. What do I do? It was like a full crisis of that's not possible. And they were like, why isn't it possible? It's absolutely possible. And it took me months to like realize maybe I could work out in the middle of the day. And do you know what? I don't need a second cup of coffee or a cup of tea when I work out in the middle of the day. It gives me the same amount of energy and it completely reboots my brain. And I'm ready to do the last half of my day. It's been a total, like, what do they call it? A life hack for me. Of recognizing I don't have to do it at this time. I can do it later and it's fine. And I don't have to shower again. Like I could if I had time, but if not, I could just pull my hair back and let it be sweaty. Like you're saying, you can go out without makeup. Like there are things you can do that you just never knew you could do. And maybe someone's listening and thinking that's absolutely stupid, but I think there's probably something in all of our lives that has held us bound, and it's only ourself that has locked us in that prison. Whether it's the way the world did it or it was an expectation we either put on ourselves or someone else put on us. And we realize we hold the keys to just unlock ourselves out of that ridiculous thinking and be free.
Right.
Here, here.
Yeah, that's good. And that's good that you found that rhythm where you could go. So I don't know if you guys have ever heard this saying, but a body in motion stays in motion. You know that saying? So a lot of like holistic nutritionists will say that because I think one of the reasons why exercise happened in the morning is because of that saying. So if you wake up in the morning and you start exercising, then you get all your things going and your gut and everything is working in unison and it gets you through the day. It's a body in motion stays in motion. So I always say that to myself. I don't know why, as I'm walking, doing chores in the morning. But Dr. Barbara O'Neill, she is incredible. And if you haven't seen her online, you have to find her, Dr. Barbara O'Neill. She's amazing, amazing, awesome lady. She talks about having a trampoline right next to your bed. So you literally get up out of bed and then for just, a couple minutes, you just kind of bounce on it and it gets the body going. So she's for good health. And there's a lot of health reasons why. So I wonder if the working out in the morning, not only because of our schedules, but if it was something that came from that.
Maybe. Maybe. Do you bounce? Is that the secret to your 11? Do you bounce on a trampoline?
Yes, it's right over there. I just go out into the and boop, 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 and then I have two chores that I have to immediately do right after that. There are two different sets of chickens that I have to feed because if I don't do it right then, the goats will sneak in there and get their feed when I let the goats out. So
Mm.
after I do those two things, then I come inside and then that's when I have my cup of tea and I sit and I write my list for the day. I was looking around to see if I had a list and it just kind of goes through all of the things that are have tos and then things that I would like to get to if I can. Because I used to write lists and I only had it all in one column. And then I would get frustrated with myself. And if I didn't accomplish it, I felt I only crossed one thing off and I would get mad, even if it was build a new chicken coop. Be like, no. So then I began saying, okay, I'm going to do my list a little different. I'm going to buy the wood. I'm going to find the place for the chicken. I'm going to do all these, because then you could cross things. And at the end of the day, you look at it and go, gosh, I did a lot today.
Yeah.
Love that. I'm a
Mm.
list maker. Mom, I think you're a list maker. So we're all list
Yes.
makers. I know that not everybody is a list maker, but that's really, if you're a list maker, that is a really like pause and rewind. That is good stuff. Of what did you call it? I could do or I want to do? What was your categories?
Things that,
I have to do, and I would like to do.
yeah. And then you don't get mad at yourself
Mhm.
because you separate those two things. But that took me many, many years of list writing to figure that out. And then the other thing too is I try, and before I close out my day, I try and look at that list and just remind myself it's okay that, because remember the goats got out and it took an hour and 20 minutes to get them back in or whatever. Remember, that's why you only crossed off two things, to remind myself so I don't feel bad that I didn't get enough done.
Mhm.
Understanding priorities and then having grace. Yeah, that's good. What were you going to say, Mom?
Well, at some point, you might throw the list away completely.
Oh, wow.
There may come a season when you feel free to do that.
Wow.
It doesn't last forever, but
Not in that season yet. I'm the kind of hardcore achiever that puts things on the list that are already done just so that I can like check off.
Yes.
done that too. I have done that. I have. But you know what? I started realizing, gosh, I'm taking up more time making my list. I could be doing something on the list.
Wow.
And it had to look pretty, and I had stickers
Yeah.
because it was art. I was being creative in my list.
Right. Yeah.
Oh my
That's so
god.
funny. Well, there was a season when I was going through some really, 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 difficult things. And
Mhm.
literally, I would put on there brush teeth.
Yeah, no, no, I do that. Yeah.
No, shower,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, there for a while it was, and I had to put it on there because I needed
The
mentally
mental
to cross,
reminder.
yeah, and to cross it off. Like I did that.
That's yeah.
Good job, Amanda. You
Yeah,
brushed your teeth today.
yeah, yeah. You're still in the land of the living, and you're making it.
Making
Yes.
it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we've all been there. Yeah. I know I've been there. Yeah.
But we're not now.
Yeah.
We're on the other side of that.
Mhm.
We're in a really, really great, great place. So we are examples of coming through a tremendous amount of stuff that could have held us back, right?
Yeah, I mean,
I
I
could have,
still sometimes I will still have, make bed, wash face, get dressed, make coffee. And it's just the way my brain is wired. I just need help with executive functioning to be a productive adult in the world. And some of us need that. And
Did I spoil you, Becky?
no, I think it's just like my neurodiversity. And I think that I could feel bad about that. And so not give myself a tool to help myself. And then I would become less productive. And then I would become hard on myself for not being productive. And then I would probably get depressed. And so, like, it's a spiral down if I just, again, with the acceptance of the season and even just acceptance with myself and my unique brain and understanding I may always need a checklist. Make my bed, get dressed, wash my face, brush my teeth, make my coffee. And it's like that's I have my morning called launch. That's how I launch. I heard this person say to get out of bed, she does this 3, 2, 1 takeoff. And so, like, I call my morning launch, and it's like make your bed, wash your face, brush your teeth, get dressed, make your coffee. And it is my launch session. And I like by defining it and giving it a name, if it makes me more productive, it makes me more productive. Yeah. So yeah, it's
Well,
just like the quicker we are to recognize the season, the quicker we are to accept it. I think it gives, it's almost like a yielding. There's a yielding for God to then like use whatever it is.
yeah.
Whether it's your
Yeah.
high energy or whether it's my list to stay on track, or whether it's the inwardness of this is where I hear from him. Like the more we recognize how we move through the world, the more we see how God meets us in the world, and then the more we get to meet up.
Mhm. Agreed. Well, I think we've tied 2 knots on this show,
Yeah, maybe even 3. That was
maybe 3.
I would not want to be the editor on this.
Like we were landing, we were circling the airport, we were getting the landing gear down, and then we are like, yeah, just something simple like, thanks so much for being a part of Wild Honey, and we'll see you next time, or something like that.
That was good. Why don't you do that one?
I don't even know what I said.
You said thank you so much for being a part of Wild Honey, and we'll see you next time.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for joining Barbara, Becky, and myself. We loved having you be a part of this Wild Honey podcast. Please come back. We can't wait to see you again.
You could use the one Becky did, and you can use the one you did, and there's 2 right there.
Right, Becky, you do yours again.
Like, you want me to say our names again, or
No, no, I can't. No, I just do spontaneous things. So don't ever think that that's the way it has to be done.
I think what you said was fine.
oh yeah, I'm just trying to think like about engagement, even just like
Okay.
And you wrote it right here, right? You've been listening to Wild Honey from the Rock. Okay, Barb, you want to do those? Do you see right there?
Okay.
She wrote it in the.
It's not on my screen.
You've been listening to Wild Honey from the Rock.
And then you're listening to Wild Honey
Yeah.
on the Rock. Okay.
okay, and then hold on,
This
'cause
is
I
it.
have an idea. I was thinking of one. I was still thinking of my
Yes, you were.
You're
Sorry.
serious.
thank you so much for coming along with us today and listening to Wild Honey from the Rock. If there's something you would like us to talk about, something that you're thinking about, would you email us and let us know? And maybe it'll be one of the topics we have next time we're together. We'll see you next time.
Good.
Lynn,
Ah,
that was so good. Okay, so Barb, do you want to do You're Listening to Wild Honey from the Rock?
you're listening to Wild Honey from the Rock. That it?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
You've been listening to Wild.
Okay.
You've been listening.
You've been listening to Wild Honey from the Rock.
You've been listening to Wild Honey from the Rock.
Thank you so much for listening to Wild Honey from the Rock.
Thank you.
We're going around and around. I like that. Okay.
You and I like you.
Okay, am I supposed to do that?
You can do whatever.
Well, you guys have to be quiet. Thank you so much for watching Wild Honey from the Rock. Hey.
That's good. Cindy, we good?